Good morning, everyone. Today we're checking out a brand new video from TrueGreen7 about how he made pre-evolutions for Pokemon. Let's hop in and see who got the pre-evolution treatment. From what I could tell on the thumbnail, of course Lapis is gonna get one.
Hey guys, Ron here, and there are plenty of Pokemon who would benefit from receiving a new pre-evolved form, whether it be to give us a chance to acquire a strong Pokemon early on into the game by raising them up from a younger, less powerful stage, or to expand the lore and complete an entire line of Pokemon. If you want to see more Fakemon videos, you've come to the right place. Make sure to check out the previous videos after this, and leave a like if you want to see a part 2, and subscribe if you want to know if and when that comes out. Consider becoming a patron or pressing the join button if you want to get cool rewards like seeing my videos days early, all while supporting videos like these, where I spend extra time making way more Fakemon than I usually do. In fact, I made double the amount, because the more baby Pokemon, the better. Before we begin, I want to talk about something for the adults. Today's sponsor, Rocket Money. Over the coming months, I'm getting ready to move to a slightly more expensive area. And to save more money, I began budgeting and crunching the numbers.
Good luck on the move, man.
Way more than ever. Only to discover a bunch of unused apps and subscriptions that I'm still being charged for. That's why when I discovered Rocket Money, I quickly knew I had to start telling the world about it. Rocket Money is an all-in-one personal finance app that lets you cancel subscriptions, create custom budgets, and generally manage your money better. It's the exact tool I need to pay less and save more. It's easier than I expected too. Once you connect your bank account, Rocket Money identifies all of your subscriptions in one list. Then with a few taps and clicks, you can select for what you don't want to pay for anymore. And Rocket Money will deal with the rest. You can even have the app's negotiators get down to business and negotiate your bills for you. I used to use various spreadsheets to create and track my budget, but with Rocket Money, I can create custom budgets in seconds. The app will literally show you where all of your money is going at all times, with insights on how you can stay within budget. So if you want to take control of your finances like I did, click the link in the description and go to rocketmoney.com.
I guess it could be useful for some people.
.com/TG7 to get started for free. You can even unlock more features with premium. So check out Rocket Money today. Let's begin by giving one of the strongest unevolved Pokemon ever a Prevo. If Lapras had a pre-evolved form, we'd be able to acquire this new family way earlier in the game, without it being absolutely broken. I know many people don't even feel too keen on using a Lapras because they usually only get access to one later in the game when they may already have a water type that they bonded with and don't want
Unfortunately, I just don't care for
to replace. So why not bond with what will become a Lapras early on into your journey? So what if Lapras was tinier, looked a little bit more hydrodynamic with giant flippers and a shell with one spike to hold on to if a small child were to ride it? The key feature that actually deviates from Lapras is an unfurled ear that acts like handlebars. I'm taking some inspiration from a jet ski, since Lapras is more of a fairy, and this thing is a wilder ride that is harder to tame. It's also brighter in color and lighter and more summer in tone. Say hi to Lazuli, the travel Pokemon, a pure water type.
Cute.
Its name comes
Forgot that second that y'all might want to see those shinies up though.
From Lapis Lazuli, just like Lapras, I guess. Lazuli are playful and impulsive, darting across the water's surface like tiny jet skis. While Lapras are known for their serene wisdom and empathy, Lazuli are free-spirited wanderers who follow the tides wherever they lead. Their ears help them sense vibrations in the water, letting them race each other in schools. Lazuli's restless nature gradually softens as it starts to memorize every waterway it encountered during its travels. It evolves into Lapras via friendship while knowing the move Sing. Lapras is famous for its empathetic songs and ability to communicate through melodies, so Lazuli's free spirit settles as it learns to sing, marking its growth. The Duraludon line is practically a pseudo-legendary stat-wise at least, now that Archaludon exists, so why not make this even more official by giving Duraludon a Prevo and completing the family? I don't think there are many people who
What would it actually look like?
Are drawn to Duraludon, and one reason is that we encounter it in such a monstrous state. So if we bonded with the line when it was slightly cuter, the entire family may become way more popular. Now if Archaludon is a bridge that used to be a skyscraper, let's downgrade it once more by making it a single family house. House to skyscraper makes a lot of sense. We don't even have to change much. Just make the dude quadrupedal and have its tail act like a chimney. I'll eventually give it patterns to look like a door and some windows. It's a modern style type of architecture. The colors are practically the same since the concept is already so strong, while deviating enough. Beware Duraladim, the alloy Pokemon, a pure steel type from Duralumin and Dim, since it's not as shiny or intelligent as Duraludon. Duraludon crawl around and search for food. They are fastest when running back to their caves during a storm. They are incredibly durable and pay no mind to the rocks and trees they constantly bump into. In battle, they hold their ground as they fire attacks, but are inevitably blown away by the recoil as a result of
Alright, I'll be honest, I would totally catch this.
their
It
surprisingly
is
light
adorable.
bodies. Duraladim are drawn to mountainous areas where their future towering forms will one day dominate the skyline. They evolve into Duraludon at level 40. Cryogonal is another Pokemon fans want nothing to do with,
Really
because
now?
it's like so inhuman. But with its
No, I mean, really now you're giving this thing a pre-evolution?
extreme stat buff a few gens
What,
after
a
Black
snowball?
and White, this thing is itching for a pre-evolved form. Now, while the Cryo in Cryogonal refers to it being frozen, I always interpreted it as a pun, since it also sounds like cry. I always figured that the droplets in Cryogonal were tears, and maybe they are. Even if they weren't, that means this baby form has a unique concept with frozen
Huh.
water droplet tears that levitate around with it. Perfect trait for a baby
Okay.
Pokemon to have. I love how I adapted one of Cryogonal's segments into a brow, and even the giant ice crystal that Cryogonal had on its nose now becomes a much cuter little crystal nose. Here is Wintier, the snow crystal Pokemon,
Okay, I can't hate this. This is adorable.
an ice type from Winter and Tear. Winter
Give it a
floats
hug.
silently through blizzards, their crystalline bodies adorned with frozen tears that shimmer in the cold. Unlike Cryogonal, which can imprison prey in
What makes them that, like, golden color?
chains of ice, Wintier are too fragile to fight, and instead weave gentle snow flurries around themselves for camouflage as they dissolve into water particles and reappear elsewhere. Wintier evolves into Cryogonal when leveled up during a snowstorm. Cyclizar is actually a Pokemon
Alright.
you can get relatively early into the game, despite it feeling fully evolved, you know? It's kind of weird how docile it looks despite being a dragon Pokemon you can ride.
Well, it's also a basic save.
It's so big, which gives us more room to shrink it. My point is, I want to see a cute little lizard. Originally, I wanted to give it a tricycle aesthetic, but then I realized that would only be possible by giving it 2 wheels on its legs, which would not look good, and would kind of give it more wheels than its evolved form. It would make even less sense since technically this isn't a wheel, it's just an inflated dewlap that reptiles like Anole lizards already have on their throats.
Yeah.
So having more on their legs ain't right. Instead,
This is
I
kinda
think the
like a
premise would
balloon.
be that this thing is so small that it can't be ridden on, but is super fast and hard to pin down, like tiny lizards in general. Check out Cyclittle, the roaming Pokemon,
you closed
a
its
pure
mouth.
normal type. They zip through grasslands at startling speeds, using their agility to dodge predators. Cyclittle will constantly
understood.
challenge one another to races, often rolling down hills as they lose their balance. Their boundless energy makes them difficult to track, and catching a Cyclittle is considered a test of skill for young trainers. Cyclittle do enjoy being chased and bond with the children that manage to catch up to them. They evolve after
Aw.
running around with their trainer for 1,000 steps. It makes sense
Of
since they would
course.
need to move around a lot with a loved one before being ready to carry them. Scyther is
Interesting use interesting choice of the evolution method for going with the whole 1,000 steps thing.
the first Pokemon I ever imagined to need a Prevo. A baby form would be ideal, and even necessary, since Scyther and Scizor have the same base stat total, giving us so much more
Oh,
room for
really?
a weaker Scyther.
That's
So
kind of
I've always thought
interesting.
Scyther looked more draconic than Mantis-like, so this gives me a chance to make a more bug-like Scyther that simply takes a bit more inspiration from a praying mantis. So long antennas and a flimsier build is enough to allow it to have its own identity. Even the
Okay,
color being less
okay.
green is rooted in reality, since mantis nymphs appear to be less green in general. Say hi to Needle, the mantis Pokemon,
Aw,
a
Needle.
pure bug type. Needles struggle to land clean strikes and instead rely on swift stabs to deter threats. They spend their days sharpening their needles on stones. Their presence is marked by tiny punctures in surrounding leaves.
Okay.
It loves to skewer multiple berries and eat them all at once like a fruit kebab. The more it eats, the
Nice.
greener it becomes. It evolves into Scyther at level 30. Its needles sharpen into knives as it, simply grows up. Now let's make our first pre-evolve form that'll evolve into 3 other unrelated Pokemon, like how Tyrone
Here we
finally
go.
made Hitmonchan, Hitmonlee, and the eventual Hitmontop related. Miltank and Tauros have always been seen as male and female counterparts, and even
That's right.
Bouffalant can be thrown into the mix. Let's make a calf that has traits of all 3. Now online, I've seen efforts to combine all 3 cow Pokemon into a Prevo, but they make it seem too much like a chimera, with parts of these cows disconnected. I want to make sure that the traits of all 3 mesh together, really well, and don't seem
That
like
is a
separate
struggle.
aspects. So the hair, for example, stems from Bouffalant, but is on the head and neck like Miltank's black patterns and Tauros' mane. The ears can be considered Miltank's, but with rings like Bouffalant's, and even the stem of Tauros' horns. The coloration is even a warm middle ground between the main color of all 3. This is Caffair, the calf Pokemon, a normal
is a
type.
struggle.
Caffair are gentle, affectionate Pokemon
Like I said, a struggle, not impossible.
born in open grasslands. Their personalities are remarkably adaptable, able to grow into the calm strength of
I do like that shiny though. That is a very good shiny.
Miltank, the fierce pride of Tauros, or the wild defiance of Bouffalant. The wide varieties of personalities that Caflair can present make them quite popular with trainers. At level 30, males will evolve into Tauros, and females evolve into Miltank. If Caflair levels up knowing Head Charge, it evolves into Bouffalant. Croagunk is actually the last Pokemon here that needs a Prevo, but I feel like the Toxicroak line will feel like a slightly more complete 3-stage line if there was a Tadpole thrown into the mix. This line is inspired by Poison Dart frogs, so let's make a Poison Dart. So I'm making a Tadpole in the shape of a Blow Dart. It launches itself from the water to poison its opponents. The smug face of its evolved form obviously has to stay, and pretty much every trait it has is an underdeveloped version of what Croagunk has. Since it can't sting with its hands, it uses its horns. Beware, Flickroak, the toxic tip Pokemon, a pure poison type. While Croagunk
this thing is actually cute, and I really like it.
Specialize in unarmed combat, Flickroak rely on precision strikes, aiming from the safety of shallow water. Their skin is smooth, and their sharp horn glistens with a natural venom that dulls the senses of nearby prey. Its entire body is one...
Okay, so wait, the Prevo has a horn, it loses that horn, and then regrows that horn as a Toxicroak?
Poison sac. It can control its direction mid-air by shifting its individual tails. It evolves into Croagunk after knocking out 20 Pokemon with Poison-type moves. And now let's finally make Passimian and Oranguru related by making a Pokemon that can evolve into either of them. A primate that is a cross between a lemur and an orangutan that is both wise and physical. Now once again, we're combining multiple Pokemon. It has the leaves...
Yeah, easiest way for the evolution method would just be if the attack stat is higher, it becomes Passimian, and if the special attack stat is higher, it becomes Oranguru.
A Passimian, and even its cheek tufts, but on the shoulders, like Oranguru's cape like fur. It's holding Passimian's fruit on its tail, and a smaller version of Oranguru's fan on its hand. And as I refine the face, I make sure to make it have a snout that is a cross between the snout of a lemur and an orangutan. Both primate Pokemon have an orange pattern on their forehead, which stems from this little guy.
I know, lemurs are not monkeys, it's just meant to be a joke.
Promate, the proficient Pokemon, a normal fighting type. Its name comes from proficient, promise, professional, and primate. Primate are remarkably gifted Pokemon, known for their natural instinct to lead and support. Even at birth, they can wield makeshift tools, a fan woven from leaves, or a berry to toss with astonishing accuracy. They have been observed to instantly understand how to use any object. Though neither as wise as Oranguru nor team-driven as Passimian, Promate exhibit flashes of both talents. Their ability, Prodigy, allows them to hold 2 items at once. At level 28, it will evolve into either Passimian or Oranguru, depending on the item it has relinquished. I wonder if people would just keep this thing unevolved and use a Eviolite and some other item, or find so many different ways to utilize 2 items at once with this Pokemon. I don't know, maybe it's...
Interesting choice of the evolution method.
It is too weak to use competitively though. Shuckle has some of the most extreme stats with the highest defense and special defense in the game. That gives us room to make a Pokemon with basically half of Shuckle's defenses, and this baby Shuckle will still end up with massive defense stats in the end. It'll be tough because Shuckle is already a relatively minimal and cute design, so making something even more adorable will be a challenge. I thought that taking inspiration from barnacles was necessary. I gave it a shell that looks like a pot, one that might be stored on a ship, just like how barnacles stick to vessels. It pops its little head in and out more quickly than Shuckle does, and it has only one hole on its back that it sticks its tail out of to slither on the ground. Behold, Shucklet, the retracting Pokemon, a bug rock type. Shucklet move with excruciating slowness.
Oh my god, look at that spread. And I know Shuckle has like ultimate defense, but good lord.
By dragging their tendril along the shore. But their patience allows them to survive in harsh tide pools. Fishermen tell stories of finding a single Shucklet and allowing them on board for safety. In exchange, Shucklet will happily provide a cup of juice. They evolve into Shuckle with high friendship, representing its patience and friendly...
Oh, no. What you need to do is high friendship plus a berry. That way when it evolves, it can also turn that berry into berry juice.
Disposition. Skarmory is probably the second Pokemon I've always wanted to get a Prevo of. I mean, a metal chick would be dope. And since Skarmory's dex entries mention how its chicks develop hardened steel wings from nesting in bramble bushes, we can incorporate that into our Prevo's design and evolution methods. We're basically making a more hyperactive and bratty Skarmory, but with plate armor that looks like it doesn't yet fit. It has one spike on its head to attack with, and the down feathers on its body almost have a steel wool-like texture, but it also is reminiscent of a nest. The rest is simply what Skarmory has, but way more simple and less segmented. Skarmory is supposed to look sleeker, while this one looks more half-baked. That's why the metal on its face has different colors. It makes it look more crude. This is Squabolt, the Armor Bird Pokemon, a steel flying type. Its name comes from Squabble, Squab, a young pigeon, and Bolt. Squabolt are rebellious Pokemon covered in sharp, metallic down feathers. Unlike the fully armored Skarmory, their feathers are still soft enough to bend, though sharp enough to deter predators. Squabolt are known
So, can we hug it?
for their quick tempers and reckless dives, often plummeting from their cliff-top nests as they practice flying. They evolve into Skarmory after leveling up while holding a Band of Thorns, a new item which would harden
new item.
Squabolt's wings. It raises the defense of the user, but would harm any non-steel type that would hold on to it. And if you want to hold on to this
Not
series,
bad.
please leave a like if you want to see part 2, and subscribe to know when that comes out. Make sure to check the description.
Alright everyone, that's going to be the end of today's video, and I hope you all enjoyed this. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more. Link to the original will be in the description below, and I'll see all of y'all next time when we flick back on. Till then, this is Fox, signing out. Peace.